First of all, congratulations on your series. You guys did a Kickstarter, and I'm curious for the three of you guys, what was like the dream number that you're like, maybe this will do something on Kickstarter? For example, like, were you thinking maybe we're going to get to $500,000 if we're lucky?
There was an initiative that Boom Studios, the publisher of the work, did to try and build up interest and to get some exposure for the project early days and have a relationship with the fans and to offer up some goodies, in terms of like participating or being a part of it. When they were doing that, I didn't really ask Boom like, what are your metrics? Um, yeah, so I can't really speak to the metrics of it. I do know that, everyone involved was really grateful and happy and enthusiastic about the passion for it.
I was personally hoping for 200 million, so I'm disappointed.
No, I think the whole idea with Kickstarter is to have a more direct connection with readers and get people excited about a book and like actually be involved in getting it to happen. And I think the timing on it too was something where like we couldn't go to conventions and talk about it and show art. So it was a way to reach out and get people excited about it ahead of time, and then just get people involved, and make it special, that the final total is whatever it's going to be. But I think just reaching out and interacting was the coolest part.
There are going to be people who are, and it's hard, there's going to be people reading this, and this is their very first comic book ever. And it's, being honest, Keanu, your involvement is going to bring people in to read stuff that maybe they wouldn't read before. For each of you guys, what is another comic book or graphic novel that you want to recommend to a new comic book reader that, I know you can say, I know you're enjoying our book, but you also want to check out this?
Yeah, I'll go first on that one. There's two things I would recommend. Like if you like this, what we're doing, you might like that. And I think the easiest one is anything by Jeff Darrow. He's doing a book now called Shaolin Cowboy, and he did Hard Boiled, back in the 90s. So I would recommend both of those. And then there's a manga by Osamu Tezuka called Phoenix, which is kind of, it's not what we're doing or whatever, but I just thought about it the other day. I was like, oh, it spans all of time and space. So it starts at the beginning of like in the Stone Ages and then goes into the future. And it's kind of and he's basically like he's Japan's Walt Disney, like of manga. So like everything he does is great, but I'd recommend those two.
That's an interesting one. I mean, because a lot of it depends on a person's personal taste. There's some people like fantasy, some people like, sci-fi or the gore or the, supernatural or, or things like Captain America. But it's just as far as good quality writing, I would probably say you could go back. I like Mike Mignola's work a lot. The Hellboy stuff, but even further back, like Fafhrd and Grey Mouser, things like that. A lot of what he's got on his rack back there, I keep seeing Matt's face is predominant in my screen here, but he's got a lot of those old things are great to look at. So yeah, I mean, it really depends on their taste and, what they want to read. I mean, I was with Marvel for so long, so a lot of, that's where, my automatic thought process goes back to Jack Kirby all the way back to the 60s and pick up, all of his old work, because that's really kind of where it really began and cracked open. So that's what I would suggest.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's, I guess, I
Miller.
don't know, do some Frank, yeah, let's throw Frank Miller in there, right? So do
Yeah.
some Dark Knight, do some Wolverine,
Yeah.
Love and Rockets, or
Yeah.
do the 2000 AD stuff if you want some more humor, like Judge Dredd, Strontium Dog. kind of fun stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, I got to say, just this is a sidebar, but I've interviewed Frank a few times, and each time I talk to him, I'm always like, I cannot believe I'm talking to Frank Miller. Growing up with his stuff, it's always been, it's just been effing cool. But back to your series. The series is 12 issues, and I believe issue 5 recently came out. How far are you ahead in the terms of the writing, drawing? Like, where are you in the process?
We're actually tied. We're maybe an outline ahead of. We have outlines for issue 7 and 8, and then we have ideas for 9 to 12.
Well, it's funny because I was moving along at a pretty decent clip, but like everything else, I started experiencing a little bit of burnout. But Keanu had said to me at one point, he's like, hey, can you slow it down a bit? So I was like, sure. Yeah, sure. But
Well, part of the reason,
I don't think Eric would be too happy with that. So,
well, I mean, I think most of that is actually a practical question and not a creative one. I mean, a creative can be practical.
Right, exactly.
But I'm working on a film right now, and I've been shooting nights for almost 3.5 months. So my time schedule, it's like I wake up before they would be ready to work, and I go to bed when they are. So we haven't had our time frames haven't been able to.
Yeah. Ron, you just need to go shoot a movie and give us a chance to catch up. Take a break.
I'd be happy to.
How much of the entire storyline had you guys figured out before actually jumping into issue 1? Meaning, like, did you know ultimately where your ending is going to be in issue 12? Or did you sort of just have a basic outline, like, we think this is what it's going to be, if you know what I mean?
No, we started definitely with an alpha and an omega. So there's definitely this kind of origin story, and we have a dartboard. I mean, I think, we have where we want to go. And we have a lot of ideas for how we want to get there. But one of the cool things about this project is that it's a living thing. It's not like, okay, it's in my head, it's set in stone, and now we just go make it. There's something kind of evolving, and we can react to our own storytelling. We can develop it. But we definitely have, like, this is what happens.
So you guys figured out like essentially like a Bible for the story, for the powers, for the answers to the big questions.
Yeah. I mean, we had, when we first started, we knew we were doing 4-issue arcs. And so we're releasing right now the first 4 issues, which is the first arc of the story, which is basically an origin story. And then the second arc, we're hoping to kind of be more in the present and reveal some other cool stuff. And in the last arc, kind of take us to the present and beyond and to the next part of it, the story.
Ron, I have a question for you, actually. I'm fascinated by the way artists work. How long does it actually take for you to do a page?
Well, it really depends. I mean,
Ron, the real answer is your age plus like whatever hours it is.
that would be it. I was going to say that working on this, each issue should take me a year. So it would be a 12-year project, because there's so much detail going on in this book. But now at average, maybe 1 or 2 days a page. I work in chunks. Like, I'll do the whole half of the book, but I lay the whole thing. I lay out the whole book first. I don't get hung up on one page at a time. I kind of go and I lay out the whole thing so I have it. It's just there to refer. It can, I can refer to the script and make changes, go back, and I just keep refining it as I go along. But then I'll do the first half and then I do the second half. And that's basically how it works best for me.
So Ron is basically saying, what do you mean by 1 page at a time? What do you mean 1 page?
It's never 1 page.
What do you mean? When is a 1 page done? When do you start counting the page?
You guys know that I run a site called Collider, and we cover a lot of movies and TV. You guys have a deal with Netflix. And so I definitely want to ask you, as someone with, focused on movies and TV, what is actually the status of the feature film, of the animated series? What can you tease fans?
Yeah, so right now working with Netflix have been very cool. They're going to let us do an R-rated story, which is cool. My ambition or hope is not to do a filmed version of the comic book, so that they'll have things in common, definitely the main character and this kind of rule set, but that we can kind of take it to other places as well. We're talking to a couple different animation companies and trying to figure that out. And again, for me, I'm hoping to not, again, be inspired, influenced. There's some rules to the story, but also I want other creators to be able to do their version of it. So I want to I'm hoping to do a different version of a metaverse, where in the sense of having just different storytellers, one set of rules, like here's this character B, but then do what, because do whatever, go other places with it. So we're working on trying to get set up a company with the animation, and we've hired a writer for the film, Matson Tomlin. He's been cool and just starting to kind of put things together, and that's where we at.
What's your optimistic time frame for actually making a movie out of this? Like actually being in front of cameras and filming?
Let's say June of 22.
I like how he has to look out the window to get
I
that.
like
Well,
it.
Well, what's interesting is that, like, I'm sure, Keanu, your schedule gets booked, it can get booked pretty far out, and so, scheduling becomes a big thing with a lot of these movies,
Yeah, I'm working on John Wick right now, and after that, I don't have a job, so I'm pretty open.
I'm confident you're going to book something. You're going to land on your feet.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm trying to teach him how to draw a comic.
Cave drawings.
No, we don't want him writing and drawing, and then we'll be out of jobs.
My last thing for you guys with, and I'm going to do another question about the movie and animation. One of the things about the comic is that it can be, I'm going to use the term violent at times. I'll say it can be. Do you guys envision the same sort of tone and that kind of, I guess, R rating when you adapt it to these other mediums?
Yes. But that being said, if there's another creator who wants to do not that and do a young adult novel, or wants to do another version of it, I'm totally open to another genre per se.
Yeah, you're really opening the door up for some crazy.
Well, whatever. I mean, I just think it hasn't been done like that.
I know. I
think
don't know if I
that
completely agree with that, but only because I feel like the character is the character, and you have to. I don't know. I feel like
right, but you can shift tones, right? You can shift tones, and you can take it to, that's all.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying.
I'm not saying. I mean, it's I'm not saying that it's never been done, Ron, but
No, I'm not. I just think that if you venture too far out, then it becomes. I don't know how to explain it. It's
but
like
if there's a creator or an artist,
I get that. Like, I think about all the like Wolverine, for instance. I mean, how far, if you had that same idea for Wolverine, what would you do that would be completely not in the character, that's not the character, because he has such a history, and you're establishing this history. So I feel like just saying,
I know what Keanu's saying, though, because it really comes down to what is the writer trying to do, and ultimately you guys are going to have to approve it. So, I mean, if the writer / artist / if they come up with something that's unique and cool, and you guys are like, oh wait, this is something we never thought of, this is really cool, actually, let's do this.
That's different. That's not. Yeah, I know what you.
I think that's what Keanu's saying, but I'm putting words in your mouth. Anyway, I got to go. They're gonna. So listen, congratulations on the success of the book, and please let me know how I can help promote it on Collider. Thank you so much for your time today.